At the National Arena in the capital, Kingston, the Jamaican people mourn the loss of yet another of their reggae superstars, Peter Tosh.
This is Plymouth Avenue in the suburbs of Kingston, Jamaica, home of reggae superstar Peter Tosh. On the evening of Friday, September 11th, 3 gunmen entered Tosh's residence in what appears to have been an attempted robbery. Before the evening was over, 2 people had been fatally shot, and a third died later in hospital.
In the house that night were Peter Tosh and his common-law wife, Marlene Brown. They were entertaining drummer Carlton Santa Davis, a friend, Michael Robinson, and herbalist Winston Doc Brown. 2 other visitors were expected. Jeff Dixon, the popular local DJ known as Free Eye, and his wife, Joy. Marlene Brown picks up the story.
Friday night at about 8 o'clock. I was expecting Free Eye and his queen, Joy. They were both coming over to spend the night with me and Peter. While waiting upstairs, I hear a knock at my gate. I was now upstairs with friends and one of Peter's musicians. I said to one of Peter's brethren, Michael, to go downstairs, let in Free Eye because I'm expecting Free Eye and Joy. Michael now go downstairs, go through my door, saw one of Peter's friends coming through the gate, but dogs them rush him and we rush back right through the gate.
I saw that it was not Free Eye, but it was somebody who visited the yard regularly.
Who was that somebody?
A brother named Lepo. So he being a regular visitor now, I backed off the dogs and told him and his friends to come in, which they did. And enter in this reception area. 2 of them pulled guns and said, "Where is Peter?" Let's lead them upstairs. March upstairs. And we enter the living room area now. They tell everyone face down. And we all responded face down.
Then I said, a tall one just come around. I said, Peter, I say, you're going dead tonight. So you nobody said nothing. We come for kill you. I read one come over to me and say, you're going dead tonight. So nobody say nothing. Just give me all the US dollar when the bring come. I'm going to kill you, but give me the US dollar first. So we said to them, say, we don't have no money. We just come down, all we have is $200 US, that's all Peter had in the house. So Peter gave them the $200 US, tell them to take anything they want, search the house, take anything because we don't have the money, which Peter never have the money. Them search the house, them have us there 15 minutes, them tell us to belly it. No, all of us go down home belly man, because I never want to see them face, the other 2 guys.
One of the gunmen, Dennis Lobban, known as Lepo, was a frequent visitor to the house since his release from prison.
Then Lepo him start to talk and say, you say you Marlene, it's you cause it's not Marlene, from Peter there with you. Peter used to come at jungle, come mind bad man. And now you make Peter stop. And I'm say too damn lie. Everybody know that Bob Marley used to mind bad man, but not Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh is not that type of man. So not because no, Peter Tosh live with a woman who don't want to come those things, say use me as a pass, who say Peter don't want mine, because that's what he wants. Him always come and want Peter support him, because he walk to every musician here looking for support, just like Peter Tosh house. Which I don't like him, so I always encourage Peter not to allow this boy to come to the house, because I just don't like him.
In the middle of this tense situation, Free Eye and his wife Joy arrived at the front gate. One of the gunmen let them in.
So Fred was stand there, and we started first, say, belly to like them. So Fred was start looking at space. Because I never realized and I couldn't believe what he was seeing, you know. So Fry just stand up shocked with the most. So I said, Fry, please, go down. It's something real. Go down. Fry, go down. I tell Joy, I said, Joy, come over this side. Come over to me because I was now in the dark. So I tell Joy, I said, come sit down beside me in the dark. Fry, know, dark. Peter was more like in the light, you know, to the stairs.
And the 7 of us lying on the ground there, still constantly asking for the money, US dollars or the chest that we have there and them way there. Peter told them that they could search the house and take anything that they wanted. Anyway, they still insisted. And one of them now said, take the machete now and say, well, let him go and chop off Peter's head. Sister Marlene showed to him that he can't do that. And it's like, one of them now starts say, you know, come just deal with it, come for deal with it, like, you know. We had to argue with the man, we not argue with the man, you know, we just deal with it, come for deal with it. And then the fire, open fire, the fire single shot first, that caught Marley in her head. And then fire 2 more shots at Peter in his head. And then they just opened up a barrage of shots on us lying on the ground.
There was a piece of black furniture right beside my head that gave me my head a dark look. It picked up 5. My mother before pick up all of them. So when them things to me did, them stop fire. Then just turn them start fire again. Watch me, she said me no move, and was turn upon Peter. Bubble the boy, just start turning, shot everybody in circle. Go right, round. So I just lay down there because I feel a bullet go through my head, but I feel like it come true. So I said to myself, say, no, something since I can't trust, I now move. I'm going to wait till I move off. Because when them shot, them never move. Then wait a couple minutes, see the body not move, because the body never make a sound. So I said to myself, say, wait, everybody must have farm dead like me. So I wait until I hear like bike start up. I turn light, I see Peter in a pool of blood, Fry in a pool of blood, Doc in a pool of blood.
Doc Brown was already dead. Peter Tosh died that night in hospital. Free died 3 days later, and the other 4 were hospitalized with various injuries.
Where did you receive shots?
1 in the head, 1 in the back, and 1 through the leg.
Do you believe robbery was the motive of the shooting?
No, them just use that as an excuse because they couldn't just come and make people feel that they were sent. I don't care, I know they were sent. Because the order that they came in that, Peter, you're dead tonight, me come for kill you. Them come for kill me. Them words the me'll never forget.
Peter Tosh, the stepping razor, the rebel, the toughest, was given a state funeral made possible by those whom he so uncompromisingly opposed. He finally succumbed to the violence of the concrete jungle which nurtured him. Like Bob Marley and Carlton Barrett before him, he could not quite shake off the culture of blood and fire which surrounds reggae music. He sang about it, practiced it himself, at times idolized it. Even in death, Tosh was authentic.
Peter Tosh was one of the musical giants of the last 20 years. He was a part of the original Wailers, which consisted of Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and Bunny Wailer. When the group became known as Bob Marley and the Wailers, because Bob Marley began to have individual star status and eventually broke up, it is a tribute to the star qualities of Peter Tosh that he too was able, in addition to Bob Marley, to make the international music scene as an outstanding reggae artist. When Bob Marley died, Peter Tosh inherited his crown, so to speak, as king of reggae, and he was widely proclaimed across the world.
What has Jamaica lost by his death?
One of the architects of reggae music. I mean, when you think of the role that that trilogy or that triumvirate of Marley, Neville Livingston, Bonnie Wailer, and Peter Tosh representing in music, it just means that the pantheon now rests on just one column, that of Bonnie Wailer. So it's like a whole chapter of the music is falling away with his and Bob Marley's death.
I ranked him among the greats, along with Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Toots Hibbert, the poets of utterance, prophets of the people, if you like, who had a deep insight into the reality of contemporary Jamaica and spoke out about the endemic injustice and lopsidedness of a society that is yet to liberate itself totally from colonialism and slavery. And he had a studied irreverence for the society, and that was good. That is in the hallowed tradition of dissent and resistance. He was a latter-day Maroon, conducted a kind of guerrilla warfare against an unjust society, kept in touch naturally with it, but under the cover of art, music, ambushed it as though he were forcing it into decency and a particular kind of sanity. We are going to miss him greatly for this.
Tosh was the supreme lyricist of the radical tradition in reggae music. His was the clarion call to revolt, to revolution, to civil disobedience.
Stand up for your right now, brother. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. You preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. You are a duppy and you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitter is gold, and half the history has never been told. And now it's the light. We gonna stand up for life. Come on, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights, brother.
Well, Peter was a great man to Jamaica in general and, the rest of the world. And he really taught us young youth a lot, through his music. And we miss him a lot.
Everyone must give them speech about him still, Them shouldn't kill a man like that as a black man. We are stand up for righteous people. You know them way there? Everyone feel it for him still, We are black people and African,
He believed every word he sang. He wasn't one of those people who just make up some words. He believed in everything that he did. So his music was more on the militant side. He's a protest singer. Oh, Peter absolutely believed that the system was corrupt. And he was fighting against this. But underneath all of this, he was a warm and gentle, kind person.
Tosh, I always thought, was significant not only because he really was a fine musician, but more significantly because I think there was an integrity to Tosh's anger about injustice. I think that no matter how famous he became, no matter what he earned, there burnt within him this indignation about what is wrong.
Peter Tosh's indignation about injustice was signed, sealed, and delivered to us as a legacy in that seminal composition, Equal Rights.